Hello and welcome back. This is The Lost Adventurer. Today's review is going to be based on something I found inside of Dungeon Magazine number 31. And it's a small short adventure called A Local Legend. Now, Dungeon Magazine 31 came out in October of 1991, so we'll say that's when this was written, and its authors were a Greg Rick and a Brad Shell. As for backstory on the authors, the only thing inside the magazine is that both of them just graduated from college during a recession, and they're finding it easy to avoid entering the real world by writing fiction and working on AD&D worlds. Now, the adventure itself is designed for 3 to 6 players of levels 1 to 2, says about 6 total levels of all the players combined. This is more like a side quest, something to involve the players in to make a traveling session a little bit more interesting. It's not going to be that long. This is very short. We're talking, this is only going to last a day at most. There's no way that the players could have some sort of shenanigans to make this longer than a session. At least I don't think they could. Anyways, the setup required is you only need a small village, and it says it's supposed to happen during the winter, but you can pretty much make this adventure work with any sort of heavy inclement weather that forces the players off the road. So anyways, the players will end up in this small village called Trelmont. There's a map that's provided for this adventure. This is the map. And there, they will go to the inn. Now, at the inn, because they're wanting to get out of the weather conditions outside, whether it's heavy snow, freezing cold, or a heavy downpour, one of those things, the players will end up finding that the inn is full, and there's no way they're going to beat the person who's taken up all the rooms because, well, that guy happens to be one of the more well-known merchants of the region that is a constant, frequent customer of the inn. This is all mainly done as a way to force the players to interact with one of the farmers that is at the inn currently enjoying a nice cold beer, who will then let him stay in his bar. There's a little bit more to it, but frankly, this adventure is only 4 or 5 pages, so it doesn't take much work. The players will spend the night at this farmer's barn, and in the middle of the night, one of the nearby farmers will end up coming to his house to tell him that something absolutely horrible is gone. His son has disappeared, as in adult son he's gone now. The farmer will then take his neighbor back to the town in the morning to sort of inform them of a search party to try and go find this missing farmer's son. He will offer to bring the players back with them to the inn so they can then begin their travels back to their adventure. But at the end, they may get a little bit inquisitive and decide to ask what's going on. Depending on the way they ask, well, actually, they should be informed that every 9 years, 3 villagers disappear from the village. And it happens over the span of 3 months. And it happens on the full moon of each month. 1 adult male villager disappears from the village to never be seen again. They all refer to it as a demon that comes every 9 years. And this is where the story truly begins. You see, there's a monster that is using this village as sort of like his hunting grounds. This monster is called a Burbalang. You've probably never heard of a Burbalang, but a Burbalang is a creature of Filipino folklore. In D&D, what it is it's a sort of demonic-looking giant bat creature, and it spends most of the time in a coma with its projection in the astral plane, because apparently most of its interactions consist in the astral plane. However, its physical body exists in the current realm. It comes back during a full moon to find sustenance for itself, in which case its cowardly self doesn't actually go out there to find its food. Instead, it creates this thing called a projection, which is an exact copy of the Burbalang, which will then go out and hunt food for the creature. The projection has the exact same stats and abilities of the Burbalang himself, and if players are able to kill the projection, there's a 75% chance that the aftershock may kill the actual Burbalang. Now, the villagers don't know that the creature that's hunting them is a Burbalang. They just think it's some sort of demon monster that manifests itself every 9 years. In actuality, the Burbalang has created like a series of layers where it can hunt in one location for 3 months and it goes on to the next one. And its rotation makes it so it comes back to this village every 9 years. And apparently, this has been happening for a long time. So the players will be asking how to help with this demonic infestation. They'll probably think it's an actual demon hunting these monsters, or hunting these villagers. The players will be directed to go talk to the wise woman. They'll talk to the wise woman that once she warms up to them and her constantly interrupting them with her meanderings about the past and what they do, standard quizzical old lady stuff. She will tell them that more than likely the creature resides underneath bodies of water because all evil spirits reside underneath bodies of water. I don't recall any sort of folklore behind that, but that's the folklore in this adventure. She will also end up sharing the story that in the past there was a local farmer who used to be a soldier that decided one day when the Burbling was doing his hunting thing every 9 years, he decided enough was enough. He threw on his old gear and went out towards the direction it flew in. She will give the direction that it flew in to the players, and the players will head in that direction. Eventually, the players are supposed to find it. It's not really that complicated, but the book specifically says you're supposed to let the players find the entrance. Now, when they find the Burberlang's lair, they're going to have to move a bunch of rocks from the main entrance, and they'll end up going into the first pit. The book sort of suggests or almost alludes to the fact that you should have the projection attack the players here. The projection will come down, start attacking the players, and then once the players get it down to like lower health, it's supposed to fly up and disappear, almost like it died like in a video game. This is to give the players a false sense of security because after the projection disappears, the Burberlang himself is supposed to be awake at this point and be ready to fight the players. The players will be in this first section. They'll have to crawl through this section. There's an entire set of rules where pretty much any sort of like plate armor or chainmail the players are wearing, they'll have to take it off to get through here. And then in this section, they'll be stuck to be using like only their fists, short swords, daggers, those sort of like close range weapons in any sort of combat they have. The book doesn't really describe how the Burberlang is supposed to attack the players, but this might be a good location for the Burberlang himself to actually attack them in this sort of area. But once they get to the second area, this is where the Burberlang is supposed to be sleeping. There is an entire part of the little module adventure thing where it describes how long the Burberlang is supposed to be unconscious, depending on how many days it took the players to find it. But truthfully, you should have the Burberlang come to life unless you really want to give your players some free XP. You can have it be unconscious when the players have it and just have them kill it. But this is where the second fight with the Burberlang happens. Should be a bit of a surprise because the players should be under the idea that they've defeated the Burberlang. And then they fought the second one. Inside of this chamber, they will also find the remains of that ex-soldier, the farmer that was a soldier that came here. And on his body, they'll find an actual magical shield that has a little bit of abilities. He's wearing some armor, and he has a dagger. Oh, his skeleton does. He's definitely dead. He's been dead for a long time. And this is going to be the most valuable treasure the players find. There'll be some copper coins and silver in the previous room from when the Burberlang had been eating all of its previous victims. They're all dead over there. But that's the entire adventure. This is just supposed to be like a stop. It's supposed to be an in-between adventure while the players are traveling, just something to throw in there to distract them off the main adventure they're doing. And for that, it doesn't do too bad. In rating the adventures itself is a 3 out of 5. I mean, it's interesting. It's a little bit fun. We're talking level 1 and 2 players, so it shouldn't be too difficult. And your players might get hyped up by the idea that they're actually fighting a demon. You can continue with that idea that they fought a demon there. And as far as anybody's concerned, it's a demon. In fact, the idea that it's a demon may explain the fact why the first body of the Burberlang, as in the projection, disappears after it's been killed. For value, I can't really give this a value. I used to say you could find it online, but actually it's a lot more difficult to find it online now because the original archive I used to use is gone. Can't access it. But if you look hard enough, you're going to be able to find Dungeon Magazine number 31 somewhere. So, I'll give this a 3 out of 5 too. For deadliness, this is a 2 out of 5. It's not that deadly. The Burbalang's the scariest monster out there. And yeah, it can take out a level 1 or a level 2 player by itself, but as long as the players work together, they'll be able to take this one. They'll be able to feel like they did something by defeating this monster that was terrorizing a village. So, that's it. I hope this helps somebody out there, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.